Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a special video for you. So in my subscription box today was, and by subscription box I mean like subscriptions on YouTube, was Mike's book reviews. He does this video every year called Books on my 2020, or like series on my 2020 next year TBR in permanent ink. And I'm not doing that, but I'm going to give you some ideas of books I want to read in 2024. I don't currently have any ideas apart from a couple when I'm going to read those, but I have a big old stack of books here that I want to run through, and I'm hoping that you will join me on this big stack of books / 2024 reading adventure. So let's get straight on in. And we'll start with the only one that I have a planned reading schedule for, which is The Wheel of Time. So I'll be starting The Wheel of Time on January 1st, 2020, January 1st, 2024. December TBR willing. So I'll need to, if I have finished every single book on my December TBR, then I am going to start Wheel of Time. Now, why do I want to read Wheel of Time? Basically, I've talked about this in a lot of videos, but The Wheel of Time seems to be the book that so many of my favourite authors cite as their like main inspiration. So you've got people like Brandon Sanderson, who finished The Wheel of Time. He wrote several books. You've got Ryan Carhill, who says that, and Carhill's Bound and the Broken series is probably my favourite fantasy, definitely my favourite epic fantasy, of which you could definitely say The Wheel of Time is. So if you think about it like that, Jordan's Wheel of Time is such a massive inspiration. I also watched season 1 of the TV series and I really enjoyed it. I put it on my top 5 shows for that year. I've avoided watching season 2, even though I loved that first season, because I know that everyone says the book is better in like a million different ways, and I think that it's probably best for me now to experience this story via the books first and then the TV show second. While we're on the epic fantasy train, I'm going to talk to you about 2 charity shop picks that I picked up recently. Well, actually, I think it was in the summer. But I've got these 2 charity shop picks that are both epic fantasy, both big chunkers. So we've got The Dragonbone Chair and Curse of the Mistwraith. So Dragonbone Chair is by Tad Williams. The Dragonbone Chair is also something that a ton of modern fantasy writers cite as a major inspiration. So I specifically know absolutely nothing about either of these books. I bought them purely because I have seen so many people recommend them. So I know Philip Chase, who, spoiler alert, is going to come up later, read Janny Wirtz this year and really liked it. And Mike's book reviews and a bunch of other reviewers like Patrick, for example, my t-shirt friend Patrick. Check out my Twitter if you want to know what that means. He also read and loved The Dragonbone Chair. So I think that both of these books that I, again, know absolutely nothing about and kind of want to go in completely blind on, if that makes sense. Like, I know loads about all of the other books that I'm going to show you, but these 2 are like my blind reads. Now, I don't know when I'm going to get to these. Because I'm reading Wheel of Time, I probably am going to try and not read epic, mega long fantasy books back to back to back. Because that is a great way to just burn yourself out. So I'm going to be on the lookout for palette cleansers, specifically I think like sci-fi palette cleansers or like crime and thriller palette cleansers. A lot of people have recommended Discworld, which, while it is fantasy, and I don't really want to go fantasy, I do love fantasy books, and I don't. It's hard for me to get completely overwhelmed on a fantasy novel. I will often still enjoy it, even if I'm a little bit burnt out on the genre. But I think to give these books, and especially to give Wheel of Time, which is a series that a lot of people burn out on, I would like to give those as much of my dedication and brain power as possible. So I'll probably be looking for other series to break these up. And in fact, there's one other book that I don't actually. There's a couple of series that I want to talk about, but I don't have any books of. But there's a couple of series that I really want to read soon, and I think that would be good palate cleansers. Ideally, I think a palate cleanser is a short book or a book that can be read quickly. So I think that I'll be pulling from my Stephen King video, which I've popped the thumbnail up here somewhere. Pop the thumbnail up there, and there'll be a link in the description to that. So I'll probably be using Stephen King as palate cleansers because I loved that month reading Stephen King, and I think I just want to keep that up and read not 6 in a month, but maybe a couple a year. And I want to keep on, if I can, and read his new releases. I do know that next year's new release has a story that is a sequel to Cujo, so maybe Cujo should be on my list. But the books that I don't have, that I would like to read next year. So I've had a load of fun this month reading the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson, and I think that next year is going to be my time to tackle the Reckoners series. So I've actually read Steelheart, which is the first Reckoners book, and it was the first ever Brandon Sanderson book I read, because I'm a huge superhero fan, and I saw a superhero novel that had good reviews and was like sold. So I read that, but I think I will probably reread Steelheart, maybe via audiobook, because I've been really loving the Skyward audiobooks. So I think that maybe rereading Steelheart that way would work well, and then go on with the series. So I do own them all on Kindle, but I will likely also pick up audiobooks and library copies because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to save any money. But I'm going to put these ones on the floor to make some space on the sofa here. So, Sanderson's Reckoner series, that's a big one for me. His superhero series. I thought Steelheart was excellent when I read it. I read it in a single day on a coach journey when I was stuck on a coach for 9 hours travelling to France. Massive recommendation. Really loved that one. I think that my next, the other series that I don't have any books of yet that I want to read next year, and it's kind of, there's 2 sci-fi series actually that I have no books of that I want to read next year. And the first one is the Christopher Ruocchio's, I can't remember what the series is called, but Sun Eater, I think. We'll find out. Somebody will tell me in the comments, I'm sure. My first pick is Christopher Ruocchio, and starting with Empire of Silence, his science fiction series. A lot of people have said that it's very Dune-like, and I did love Dune however you want to say it. I loved that book. I read it first when I was a teenager on holiday, and while I don't as much care for the sequels to Dune, I do think that I love that original story, and I think that Christopher Ruocchio's book sounds really, really good. So I think it's time to dip into some more big, chunky sci-fi stuff. I don't think I've actually read, aside from Dune, like a big, chunky sci-fi novel. I wouldn't call the Skyward books to be big and chunky sci-fi. They are still quite small. I reckon you could read a Skyward book. I think I read the first Skyward book in 2 days. And the audiobook for Cytonic is only like 15 hours, even though it's a massive book, but big margins. So anyway, I think that the Christopher Ruocchio's Sun Eater series is a big priority for next year. And actually, I've just remembered there's one other that I've put on the old Christmas list, which is The Expanse. So I put on my Christmas list the collector's edition of the first book in The Expanse. Who knows whether it will get bought, because it isn't cheap. and I would imagine that my wife might look at that and go, I'm not paying that for a book. But I'd love to read The Expanse. I've watched the TV show. I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes of season 1, and I struggled a bit. It felt a little slow in TV form, but I think that the book will be a lot better because I can kind of read it at my own pace. And on top of that, I can then like go back and watch the show afterwards, because a lot of people say that the show is very faithful and really well done. So that kind of gives me like a bonus reason to read it. So I'm not going to read Sun Eater and The Expanse at the same time, but I think that both of those will be books that I try and pick up through the year. And I think that Sun Eater in particular, based on the comments that I've seen in videos from Petrick and Matt's fantasy book reviews and Mike's book reviews, the comments that all of those guys have had about Sun Eater have been so strong that I think that it's got to go quite high up the list. So Sun Eater in particular, maybe you can look out for that early in 2024. Maybe that will be something that I try and read in conjunction with Wheel of Time. So we talked about Philip Chase earlier, and I think we should get straight onto it. I don't have any physical copies for the next 2 books, but I do own them on Kindle. Or do I own them on Kindle? I think I bought this. Maybe I don't. I think I had them on Kindle Unlimited. But I'll probably be resubscribing to Kindle Unlimited now I'm done with months where I'm exclusively reading a whole series by massive authors that don't use Kindle Unlimited. Philip Chase has written the Edan trilogy, which is kind of a modernisation of the classic Lord of the Rings style fantasy. I loved the first one. I gave it 4 stars. And I have to say that I was genuinely surprised by this one. In many ways, I thought that this book was going to be one that was kind of a 3-star book that had some good moments, because I did have a bias against self-published fantasy. And I also had a bias against YouTuber books, having read a book I bought a book by an unnamed YouTuber because I don't want to shout out negative criticism. And I thought that it was very amateurish, and I did not enjoy reading. I don't think I could get through the first. I maybe got 1 chapter in, and I think that was as far as I could get. So I won't talk about that. But Way of Edan I really enjoyed, and I have heard through the grapevine that the 3rd book in the Edan trilogy is really, really experimental and interesting. So I really want to get on to Way of Edan, the Return to Edan and Prophet of Edan. And also Philip has said that if anyone reads the trilogy, he'll do like a video interview with them. I think that would be really fun for me to be able to have a chat with Philip about his books, because I've been really enjoying them. Maybe I could read these ones for the months leading up to the release of his standalone novel that is coming. I think he said April 2024. If I'm wrong about that, I am going to tag Philip in the description, because that's the kind of person I am and I want that engagement. And he'll probably write a comment that tells you when that book's going to be out, and maybe even where you can pre-order it. Next up, we have something really different to Way of Edan, although this is a larger trade paperback in the same way that Way of Edan is. This is a really different book for me. And it is Evangelion Anime. So Neon Genesis Evangelion is one of my favourite stories in fiction. It's one of my favourite kind of, I don't want to say brands. It is one of my favourite brands, but it's not a brand. It's like a fictional universe. So Evangelion Anime is a light novel. This is the first time I've ever read a light novel. Light novels are a Japanese novel form, which have so they are a bit more visual. So they'll have pictures, and they'll have yeah, so there'll be like quite a lot of pictures and imagery. There's one every few pages. And they have like fun designed sections, which I really enjoyed. Evangelion Anime is, oh, in fact, here's some colour pages, which you never get in novels, really. So, Evangelion Anime is a sequel to the original anime, which is essentially based around what would happen if they kind of won and saved the world and nothing horrible happened, because I won't spoil the ending for Evangelion for you, and it would also kind of be hard because there's multiple different versions of the ending. However, this one is like a happy ending and then moved on quite a few years and revisiting. So I'm genuinely really excited to get to this one. Firstly, because I'd love to try reading a light novel. I've never read a light novel before. And I love Evangelion, and I have owned this book for about 3-4 years, maybe. I bought this before I got seriously back into reading. I bought this because I love Evangelion, and I just kind of wanted it, and I wanted to spend some money, I guess, which is a bit silly. Oh, I forgot to say that this is written by Ikuto Yamashita. So that's who's written this one. Evangelion Anime, it's also a series, it's an ongoing series. Wait, not ongoing. I think it might be finished now. I think there's like 4 novels. If I love this one, I will read more. I don't really see any booktubers covering light novels. So I'm really excited to be one of the first. Next up, I have this book for illustrative purposes only. And it is Robin Hobb's Realm of the Elderlings. So I'm hoping to finish Mad Ship the next month in December. I do have on plan to read Sword of Kaigen. Hopefully going to be chatting to Andrew Watson about that. We had a little chat in the comments of one of his videos. So hopefully I'll be chatting to Andrew Watson about Sword of Kaigen. If not, I'll definitely talk about it on my channel. And we've also got, I'm also going to be rereading some of my favourite teenage books. But Ship of Destiny, hopefully I'll be reading early next year so that I can get Live Ship Traders under my belt. Oh, hello, cat. He loves being in the videos now. He's in one and now he wants to be in all of them. So yeah, once I've got Live Ship Traders done, I think I'll take a break. But I would like to get Live Ship Traders done. And if I don't read Mad Ship in December, then it's going to be a Q1 book. Even though I'll be reading Wheel of Time, I will force myself to read it. And yes, I know, I said I wouldn't do myself a disservice by forcing myself to read loads of fantasy books. I will I'll find a palate cleanser that works to break up whatever Wheel of Time book I'm reading. I think that if you want to read Wheel of Time in a single year, you have to read like 1.5 books a month. I'd love to read it in a single year, but I'm not going to commit to any kind of schedule until I've read the first book, purely because I don't know if I will love it as much as I'm hoping I will. And on top of that, I am going to be buddy reading Wheel of Time with Matt at Bask in the Story. I'll tag him below as well. If Matt doesn't love the book as much as I do, or wants to space the books out more, then it's only fair for me to also space those out. And then I've got a really fun surprise one for the final book. And this is one that I think almost nobody could predict. And it is a book that I have also had for multiple years, along with the Evangelion book, and it is Star Trek Avatar. Star Trek Avatar is very similar to Neon Genesis Evangelion Anime. Avatar is the first book in a duology that is a continuation of my favourite Star Trek series, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I have no idea if this book is any good. I bought it purely because somebody said, it is a continuation of Deep Space Nine, and Deep Space Nine is like this massive formative TV show for me. The book was written by S.D. Perry. I've never read anything by them. My teenage years of reading were almost exclusively Star Trek tie-in novels. So I probably read, 10 or 20 Star Trek tie-in novels, but I didn't just read them, I reread them. I reread them over and over and over again, and I got books on tape, abridged versions of those books for Christmases and birthdays, and I would fall asleep listening to those stories because I need some sort of noise when I go to sleep. Don't know why. If it's silent, I can't sleep. If there's a little bit of noise, I'm perfect. But this book is such a weird one for me to be holding up in a booktube video. Well, I guess it is a book. Anyway, this one I really want to read. I absolutely love the characters of Deep Space Nine. I need to see more of them. And while there is no official continuation, and there have actually been 2 or 3 different stories that involve the Deep Space Nine crew after the series closes. One of them has been in a recent, very popular and well-liked comic book series. So maybe sometime next year we'll do a Star Trek month, and I'll read this. In fact, we're not doing themed months. Future me, listen, we're not doing themed months because we'll lose subscribers. But we will read Star Trek Deep Space Nine Avatar. Genuinely really excited to read this one. I have almost opened it and read it every single month this year, but I felt like I've had series that I'm mid the way through that are more of a priority. However, 2024, I'm putting it on the list. We're going to read it. So, for those of you counting, I have held up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books, and I also mentioned multiple other series that I don't own physically, and I only read 38 books so far this year. So how realistic is this list? You decide. Let's reconvene in November 2024 and see whether I have even got remotely into this list of books. Thank you so much for watching. If you are already planning your 2024 reading, why don't you pop a comment in the comments down below and let me know what you're planning on reading. If you've read any of these series and you want me to make one of these my priority, then you should tell me as well, and I will, because I'm making this channel for you guys as much as myself. So obviously my reading my enjoyment of my reading is my number one priority when it comes to this channel, because I want to carry on reading and I want to be as into and interested in reading as I am now for the rest of my life. But if there are any books on this list that you know are amazing that I should prioritize, then absolutely tell me, and I will try and make that happen. So, as always, like the video if you liked it, leave a comment to tell me what I've done wrong if you think that I have made any mistakes, constructive criticism only, please. Share this video with a friend if you want to tell them what I'm going to read. I'm not sure why you would want to do that, but I think that YouTube thinks that clicking on the share button is good for the algorithm, so feel free to just click on it. And thanks so much for watching, as I said earlier, and I will speak to you tomorrow.